Well, in 2007,
Mm-hmm.
you ended up getting dropped by Virgin?
Right. Well, I didn't get dropped from Virgin. I asked Virgin for a release.
Aha. Okay. Because was that before or after you dropped your second album?
No, that was whenever I ended up with Virgin, I was getting ready to drop a second album. I was contractually I was contractually binded to do a second project.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, it was a lot of things that were going on at the label. There was ensuing bloodbaths, different execs start coming in, different people start taking over. And in that became a lot of disagreement with the staff, myself, and with management. I'm relaying messages to Jimmy going back and he's relaying messages to the staff. And it just seemed like our interests were not aligned. And so at that point, I just said, hey, you know what? I think that it's time for me to, press the button on my claws and them to release me.
Okay. So you end up leaving the label
Mm-hmm.
and you dropped your second album at that point?
I did a different album with an independent company.
God Bless the Child?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you put that out independently?
Yeah, independently, yeah.
Okay. And then I think the next year you dropped 400 Shotz, The Funeral.
Right.
And you end up taking shots at various people.
Correct.
The Game, which I
Right.
guess is a response to all the stuff he was saying, but
Mhm.
also Daz
Right.
and Jermaine Dupri.
Right.
So what was Daz saying in order for you to respond to him like that?
I mean, there was a long-standing differences between, and again, earlier you asked a question about, this mixtape, The Notorious Black. Again, there was a lot of songs that were cut. And so one of those songs was a song that I, myself, Superfly, Daz, we cut. We went out there to Superfly house, we cutting the record.
Mm-hmm.
So we cutting records, man. We just chopping it up. Okay, let's do this beat. Boom, boom, boom. Daz, there go your verse. Boom. Superfly, there go your verse. Here go my verse. Boom, boom. So I come to the label one day, and when I pull up to the label, my A&R, he has the record, and he was like, I hear the record, but I hear a Snoop verse on there. And I hear the rest of the verses on there. And I'm like, oh shit, this shit is dope as fuck. And so he was like, yeah, okay. And so next thing you know, I guess they were asking for a certain amount of money for the record. And I was like, well, maybe I need to sit down with them and maybe we could recut the record and edit the record and do different things like that of that nature. But I'm not finna allocate that out of the budget. So that record ended up being a record that was with a lot of other records that was cut. But that record ended up being released. And when it was released, they hadn't been compensated by the label. And it wasn't a record that I had released. And so Daz had said some disparaging remarks about me that when he seen me, he was gonna kill me. And so it ensued from there, and then there was other things that were said. And I just think that things got out of context, and whenever they did, that led to different things happening over periods of time. And so with that being that, he said things, I said things, and so forth. But he don't really know the truth that I didn't have anything to do with that. I wasn't even responsible for that. I didn't even know that the record had been released, but the man say he gonna kill me. Like, for real?
Yeah, I mean, I know Daz. Daz is a hothead. And a lot of times, he don't really mean the things he puts out there. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that he's not a thorough guy or whatever else. I don't want him to take it that way. But it's like, he gets worked up and he gets on the internet. And, you know.
So he made those remarks, and then I made my remarks. At the end of the day, though, man, I look at him, man, he a West Coast legend. Yeah. This is a man who, with Snoop, with some of these legendary figures that I'm a little kid running around Compton, listening, saying his verses verbatim. So that crushed me to hear him say those things about me, because I looked up to you and Corrupted, Superfly, and Snoop, and these is legends. So, I mean, still to this day, I just think that it was just a misunderstanding and things that did happen. And maybe he took it to that point or whatever not, but still, he's still a legend in his right. Yeah. And he's helped put the West in a place that at that time put us on top. So regardless of, I look back at it now in the past, and I think, I've grown a lot, and, he's grown a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at that and I say, it was just a point in history and a time that we just seen different views of things, but really all in all, I've always looked up to him. I've been a fan. I'm one of his fans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I'm a fan of his. So yeah.
Daz is dope.
Yeah, Daz has always been dope.
Now, what about the Jermaine Dupri thing?
The Jermaine Dupri thing, at that time, when you look back, the label, they were doing a bloodletting. There was a lot of different execs that were being fired. And at this time, Jermaine Dupri, he came to Virgin. And when he came to Virgin, he brought Janet and he brought all of these different entities that were coming there. And again, Jermaine as another legend.
Mm-hmm.
And creatively and artistically, he and I had differences. At the time, instead of me thinking things through rational, I became emotional. Like, for real? And I think on certain records, I spazzed. I spazzed on a lot of shit on records. But I look back at that and I look at him and I look at the situation and I look at it that, again, he's been a legend. He's one of the original, innovators out of the South that helped bring that sonic sound out of the South.
Mm-hmm.
And he is one of those gatekeepers. If you look throughout hip hop and, look out through, hip hop, he was one of those people that was always have been there. So I think that I allowed myself to get emotionally charged in that situation. And, when I snapped on 400 shots. I look back at it and, certain things that happen and we do. And over the years, I've been able to sit back and look and I'm like, you know what, man, I've always been a fan of Jermaine. Always been a fan of him. You look at some of the music that he's produced, you look throughout the culture and you can see where he's at in the culture and the things that he's done. So yeah, man. I mean, yeah, that man is a legend in his rights.